All right. Hello, you fantastic people. We are going to do the VeChain millionaire video today. How much VeChain do I need? And this is different from the Cardano one I did yesterday because we're going to base this on the Chinese supply chain market. Now, I only base it on Chinese and not the world because most of VeChain's partners are in China. I do understand that they have Italian winemakers and they do have possibilities outside of China, but outside of China, the competition is a lot more with IOTA and with the new IBM blockchain coming in today. And we'll talk about that on the stream. So join us for that stream around midnight. So why I wanted to do this today is because A, VeChain has been doing very bad in the last 2 days in terms of price, but B, it's also quite cheap right now to pick up. So now this is not to say you should just go buy VeChain with all your Bitcoin right now. Actually, I don't advise you to do that because of the whole of September 12th, Binance is going to go away from the United States. I don't think the BAM version of Binance US, is going to have all the coins, and VeChain may not be one of them. So there might be a lot of fear before that, and that might cause the price to drop down even more before September 12th. Unless you know of some big announcement that we all don't know, and feel free to tell us if you do, it might actually continue to drop into September. So you might want to at least hold part of your if you really like VeChain, you might want to at least hold part of your Bitcoin back and see if it drops any further so you can pick up more. I'm still positive on VeChain's long-term prospects, but short-term wise, it in the next month or so, it might not be so great based on that Binance is actually going to pull out of the US on September 12th, and the replacement BAM is probably not going to be as good. So let's actually take a look at how much VeChain you need to become a millionaire. And we have 3 timelines for this. And what we're going to base this on is the size of the Chinese logistics industry. Now, I don't really know what the numbers are for the most recent year, but in 2016, the logistics services market in China was not $7.9 trillion in 2016. Now I'm just going to assume that number doesn't grow. Obviously that's not right because the number always grows in the future, but I don't really know how much that is. So I'm just going to take in terms of 2016 dollars. Now it's 7.9 trillion RMB. That is not $7.9 trillion. 7.9 trillion RMB is about 1.1 trillion US dollars. You guys are thinking, great, that's awesome. You guys are thinking like, that's great, that's awesome. How does that, that seems like a huge price if you just divide the amount of VeChain by $1.1 trillion. That's the size of the industry. You can't do that because the size of the logistics industry is all logistics services, moving and everything. That is not all blockchain revenue, not all blockchain services. So essentially, I don't know what percentage blockchain will compose far out in the future, but I'm going to take a guess at 15%. That's probably my best guess. There's a lot of, packing, unpacking, manual labor, all that stuff. That includes that into logistics as well, trucking and all that stuff. So blockchain itself, the supply chain, I'm going to say it's going to be 15% of that industry. So 15% of 1.1 trillion USD is roughly $165 billion. So I'm going to use $165 billion as VeChain's market. Now that is 100% market share of possible of what VeChain can actually achieve in China. That number is probably too low because, like I said, the dollar amount grows each year. Like it grew from 5.7 trillion in 2011 to 7.9 trillion in 2016. And by now it is probably closer to 10 trillion, but I can only use the latest number I actually got. So using that and assuming that we hold static in 2016 dollars, that is $165 billion, 100% capacity for VeChain Chinese market. Now, I'm not going to include any other markets, like I said, because those markets are hard to predict and they have serious competition outside of China. I think in China, the Chinese government's more or less adopted them at this point because they're working with the PICC, possibly the PBOC, and they are kind of like the recommended blockchain for logistics in China. So the government has a lot of pull. So I'm going to assume that the easiest and best calculation is just counting on their dominance inside China. So $165 billion. Now you're not going to achieve 100% permeability. You're not going to take over 100% of the market. That's just crazy talk because in every industry, the biggest player does not have 100% of the market. It might have like 80, 90, 70%, or the majority of the market, but not the entire market. So I'm going to say in a very long-term scenario, 7 to 8 years out, VeChain takes over 60% of the market. That would make it market dominant. And in a country like China, where the central government might support your chain, that is very possible. I think 60 is the most I'm going to be willing to calculate, because I think more than that is just, it's really hard to achieve, because there's always going to be small local solutions everywhere. So essentially, 60% of the market is $99 billion. Now, $99 billion divided by the eventual $87 billion, $99 billion divided by 87 billion VeChains is around 115 per VeChain per VET. Now that's 7 to 8 years out. That is a very, very long-term projection. Remember, these numbers during a FOMO can get much, much higher. But this is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about consistent price. So 7 to 8 years out, I believe that in China alone, based on the Chinese market, VeChain can actually achieve $1.15. $1.15. Based on the 99 billion projection, and $1.15 is $2016. So 8 years out, that might be twice that much, depending on the rate of inflation and other factors. So $99 billion, about 8 years out, I do believe that 115 is a reasonable, achievable goal 7 to 8 years out. And to make $1 million at 115, you need 869,565 VeChain. So you need to actually spend $4,446 right now to actually get $1 million out in 7 to 8 years, if things go well. Remember, when I do these projections, I'm always assuming things go well, it's actually successful, so the price will be much higher than it is today. So that is the projection to 7 to 8 years out. Well, you're saying, what if I don't want to wait 7 or 8 years? I want to be a millionaire faster. Well, then you have to invest a lot more. That's the real answer there. So assuming that it's $165 billion in the entire market in China, and VeChain takes over 10% of that market, which is $16.5 billion, you would need, each VeChain would be 19 cents, and you would need 5.263 million VET to actually be a millionaire, and that would cost you $26,915 right now. So $7,000 in, $1 million out. That's an optimistic projection in 2.5 years. All right, that's my projection. It takes about 2.5 years for them to take about 10% of the market. Right now, they have nowhere near 10% of the market. Walmart China is not nearly as big as Walmart USA, and there's so many other logistics suppliers in there that you can't really say that they're going to take that much, that they're not even close to 10% of the market right now. You have the PICC, the PBOC, maybe some of that stuff actually comes in. I don't know, but I would guess 10% of the market, even with government support, takes about 2.5 years. So you would need to invest $26,915 to get $1 million out. Now, the middle ground is it takes over 25% of the market, and I think that will take 4.5 years, 4.5 to 5 years. And at that point, VeChain will be worth $41.25 billion on market cap. It would be 47.5 cents each, and at that point you would need 2.105 million VeChain to be a millionaire, and you would need to spend $10,766 today to be a millionaire in 4 to 5 years. Remember, optimistic projections, assuming that this works out and it does achieve permeance in the Chinese market, which is a decent guess because it's already with Walmart China and with the PICC. So you can see some government support for this technology and blockchain. And if it has government support, I don't think in China itself IBM can actually really compete with it. And that's why I'm only projecting on China, because I realize IBM is a big, big competitor outside of the country of China. So that is my projection for right now. If you, in 2 to 2.5 years, you need 5.263 million VeChain, and you would need to spend almost $27,000 right now to get $1 million out. In 4 to 5 years, you can maybe expect 47.5 cents per VeChain stable, and you would need 2.105 million VeChain to be a millionaire, and you would need to spend $10,766 right now. in 7 to 8 years, you might get $1.15 VeChain stable and 869,565 VeChain to become a millionaire, or $4,446 right now. So that's almost a decade out. Remember, these are very optimistic projections. They might not achieve these numbers at all. And this is kind of this is just an overall calculation, assuming only Chinese market, assuming that the VeChain's portion of the Chinese logistics market is 15%, because like I said, the other stuff is like trucking and stuff, and VeChain doesn't really deal with that. They don't sell trucks or anything or provide trucks. That's just a blockchain solution. And remember, these are all in 2016 dollars. I don't exactly know what the inflation rate is in China. So that is the projection for today. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I will put this as the top comment so you guys can look at these numbers. So that is the report for today, how much you need to be a VeChain millionaire. And once again, I'd actually hold off until closer to September to buy some VeChain if you're thinking about buying a large amount. Maybe if you're afraid that it'll suddenly go up, buy some now and then buy then. But I'm going to put my own money closer to September if I'm going to buy more VeChain. So that's the report for today. Thank you and have a nice day.